Hello, thanks for checking out my video. Today I want to talk a little bit about developing some visual motor skills, specifically tracking and visual pursuits. Visual motor skills are very important as we need ocular motor control in order to properly view and subsequently perceive an object. We use visual tracking and pursuits to safely navigate our environment as well as for more complex tasks such as reading and writing. If your child has difficulty with ocular motor skills, it may be appropriate to see an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. The foundation of our visual motor skills is actually core strength and postural stability. If your child demonstrates poor core strength, it may be difficult for your child to create enough postural stability to support visual attention and ocular motor control. If your child lacks core strength and postural control, it may be important to complete these activities with the student lying on his or her back to stabilize the core. Tracking is the ability to control eye movement to either pursue a moving object while the person is stationary or to pursue a stationary object while the person is moving, either horizontally or vertically. Without these skills, students may have a hard time reading or copying from the whiteboard or chalkboard. It's likely the student will lose his or her place while reading or writing, will often skip words, or it's possible that your child will just have some real challenges with body coordination and spatial awareness. We can see proper pursuit of a moving object with smooth transitions from one side to the other. We can identify dysfunction by viewing some jerky movement here as we cross the midline. We want to develop these visual tracking skills both horizontally and vertically. We can also work on saccadic eye movements, which is essentially moving the eyes away from one target and onto another target. So we're going to move from one target and lock onto another target, and then back to the other target, and then second target. First target, second target. First target, second target. Again, we can identify dysfunction by really seeing some jerking here at the midline as we're crossing over to look at our targets. And we can identify the smooth transition as a functional ocular motor skill. Our goal at the OT clinic is usually about 10 horizontal smooth pursuits, 10 vertical smooth pursuits, 10 horizontal saccadic eye movements, and 10 vertical saccadic eye movements. If your child is unable to complete the 10 movements horizontally and vertically, it's quite alright. Just go ahead and start with a lower number, say 3 or 5, and go ahead and just work your way up throughout the course of the years as he or she develops these motor skills. Another strategy we like to use at the OT clinic is to break up the task. So really kind of start with like a heavy proprioception based activity, jumping on a ball or something that's really going to get a lot of the body awareness and sensory needs kind of out of the way. And before we do our tabletop activity, and we're going to make sure that we provide a lot of breaks in between these eye movements to go ahead and get back into a swing, get back into the ball pit, run around a little bit, something to kind of break up the strain on the eyes. Once you start straining the eyes, it's really easy to lose focus for the child. Something we like to do at the OT clinic that helps promote tracking of a stationary object while the kid is moving is something called the infinity walk. What we'll usually do is have the kid pick out a movie. So I just put TV right here. And then I'm going to set up 2 cones, one on either side of the TV. And the kid's going to be walking in a figure 8 pattern. And as they do that, they're going to keep their eye on the TV the whole time. And so they're going to be tracking an object to the right as they move to the left around the corner, There's going to be some nice head rotation to kind of lock back onto your visual target there as you come around the loop, and you're still looking at your visual target all the way to about right there, and then you're going to have some nice head rotation, and then they're going to be looking at the visual target again as they come back around, always looking at the visual target. Some of the kids I work with are able to complete this visual motor skills exercise just by looking at a reinforcing item, say the bubble bear here, and kind of moving back and forth, visually pursuing this moving item as I go throughout the visual field. And other kids are a little bit more inclined to play games. So sometimes I'll introduce some form of target game where the student has to visually pursue a moving object like a bubble or a ball or a balloon is my favorite. Another way to accomplish this goal here is to include things like puzzles. This particular puzzle, the ABC puzzle, it might be appropriate for, say, a kindergartner, first grader, someone just kind of learning the alphabet a little bit, but still having a hard time developing some of the ocular motor skills. So we're going to use really kind of their knowledge of the alphabet and their ability to visually discriminate and have some visual memory about the letters and the form, and we're going to use that skill then to develop our vertical smooth pursuits and vertical saccadic eye movements. So we're going to have the letters down here at the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and just put the rest of the puzzle up here on top. So we're going to move from the bottom position to the top position, bottom position, top position, bottom, top, again and again, and we're going to go ahead and do this consistently from left to right. So we're developing both horizontal smooth pursuits as we go from one to the next across, and we're also developing the vertical pursuits as we're going from the bottom to the top. Sometimes I like to keep it a little bit more simple, so I'll just put one of these large pop beads in the middle, and then I'll roll one of them outside of the visual field. It's going to just kind of roll its way on out to the right, and then they're going to have to scan to the right to find it, put it on, and then I'm going to roll my next one out, and it's going to roll out to the left side. So we're going to have to scan from the right over to the left, find our object, put it on, and then again the next one I'm going to roll is going to be back out to the right, so that they have to look back to the right, scan for the object, find it, put it on, and again, next object, rolling out to the left. So we're going from the right back to the left, getting our smooth pursuit in and our saccadic eye movements in as we go ahead and finish this activity. Some kids who have a little bit more of an advanced ocular motor skill set will like to play games that are kind of a little bit more about scanning. So there's really not such a regiment to what we're doing. It's really more of a natural kind of way to introduce some ocular motor control throughout the visual field. So, I always like to follow the sequence. I start with A and I end with Z. This particular puzzle right here is kind of fun because it has words along with it, and also some fun pictures. But it's really all about the form here. So really we're scanning for the form. We're moving around the visual field. As soon as the alphabet is memorized and alphabetical order is pretty consistent, we can go ahead and start switching it up a little bit so that we're not exclusively moving from A to B to C to D to, all the way from left to right across the page like we would read. We're going to really focus on this child's visual memory, visual spatial relationships kind of with where the form is on the board, and we're going to use those skills then to continue playing our scanning game and developing our visual motor skills with visual pursuits and saccadic eye movements. So we're going to go ahead and collect all the pieces up here, and I'm just going to randomly select one piece, and I'm going to give the child one piece at a time, and then they'll have to scan on the board for where the inset is. Some of the kids I work with have an even more advanced set of ocular motor skills, but still have trouble completing some of the real simple reading and writing tasks. They'll often omit letters or omit words or kind of lose their place when they're reading. For this group of kids, I like to do things that kind of are a little bit more fun to them than maybe say pop beads or insert puzzles. Things like mazes. They do a really good job of kind of developing some of these visual pursuit skills that we're looking for. I also really like, see here, some of these, like the jungle hunt. We're looking for any of these items right here on the bottom. So we're looking here on the bottom. We're having to kind of use our visual memory to scan through the picture here and find it right here. There's actually a lot of really great visual perception skills that we're developing with that also. Again, I'm using just whatever material the kid is really interested in, and I'm able to incorporate that into my lesson plan. Letter searches are great. Word searches are great. Some of these little puzzles and mazes are great. Again, I really like these picture searches. And then another way we can do our visual motor skills activity is quite simply just to do the alphabet. And right here I have a shaded area. This is from the Handwriting Without Tears program. I made a copy for myself for this video only. I don't hand this out, unfortunately, but they're easy to make on your own. You just make a square. In fact, we'll do that right now with a whiteboard. So we'll just make a square on top, and then we'll write the letter, and then we'll make a square on the bottom. Etc. etc. And then you'll go through and just have the child go from A to Z, left to right across the page, and we're going to go ahead and look at this letter, and we're going to copy the letter here. Look at the letter, copy the letter here. Look at the letter, copy the letter. We're going to go all the way across the page from left to right, really developing some great smooth pursuits as we go along. And we're really introducing a lot of other great visual memory and visual perception skills associated with reading and writing as we're doing this. As we complete these activities, we really want to focus on the objective here, and remember that we're really looking to get some smooth pursuits from right to left without any jerking in the midline here. So we're really focusing on the smooth transition through the midline, pursuing a moving object, or tracking a stationary object as we're moving. And as we're completing this, we really want to move kind of from a broader visual field to a smaller visual field. So the more broad the visual field is, the more likely it is to include some gross motor movements of the neck, really kind of rotating the head around on a swivel to use your head to scan through the visual field, versus something with a smaller visual field. We're kind of isolating our ocular motor skills to perform the visual pursuits that we're hoping to develop. So, in summary, a couple of the most important things to remember when you're working on just some of these basic visual motor skills is that you really want to use toys or items that are motivating for your kid, so that we're not just, saying, look at the marker, and the kid has no interest in the marker. If your kid is interested in Dora, find some cool Dora book. If your kid is interested in bubbles, use bubbles. If your kid is interested in stickers, we can find a way to include stickers into the game. So that brings me to the second point: is keep it fun. If it's not fun for the kid, you're likely to not get any sort of result at all, and then that's not fun for you either. And the third, and I think maybe most technically significant point, is to provide postural support if your child is demonstrating poor core strength or a lack of postural control. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section to let me know what strategies worked best for you.